So, ladies and gentlemen, the month of October in the UFC has wrapped up. We have concluded October. We've had three cards that have taken place in this month, and I thought it would be a good time, as always, at the end of the month to go through the month of October, or go through the previous month, and discuss kind of what happened in the month, the performance of the month, the KO of the month, submission of the month, all of that kind of stuff. And then we're going to finish off with what was the best event of the month at the end of the video as well. So, we're going to start off here by just running some of the numbers, just talking about October on the numbers perspective. We had three cards that happened, 34 fights, 19 of them went to decision, 9 were finished by TKO or KO, 4 were wrapped up in submission, and there were 2 no contests. As far as my picks go for the month, UFC Fight Night Dawson vs Green, I got 5 out of 10. UFC Fight Night Yusuf vs Barboza, I got 6 out of 11. And then UFC 294, I went 8, 3, and 2. So that gives a grand total of 19 out of 32 if you remove the no contests, sitting at a very average, very disappointing 59% prediction rate. And of course, I only got one main event right. I got Grant Dawson wrong against Bobby Green, and then I got Volkanovski wrong against Makhachev. But I did pick Edson Barboza as an underdog, so I'll take that one. So not the best month in terms of picks. It was a pretty dead month, honestly. Like, not a whole lot of massive things to happen. Like, 19 out of 34 fights went to decision. Like, we didn't see a major amount of highlight reel kind of finishes. No crazy barn burner fights. But regardless, we're still going to go through the highlights of the month. So we're going to start off with the KO of the month category. So here we're looking at solely the best fights that were finished by strikes, the best performances that were finished by the way of TKO or KO in the month of October. So the 5 nominations are Islam Makhachev's head kick KO over Alexander Volkanovski, Ikram Alskerov's flying knee combination that he finished Wally Alves with, Michel Pereira's finish over Andre Petroski in 1 minute and 6 seconds, Bobby Green's upset against Grant Dawson in 33 seconds, and then Terrence McKinney's 20-second blitz KO or TKO that he got. So those are the 5 nominations. You guys let me know out of all of those, or if you think I missed one, let me know who you guys thought was the KO of the month. But I've gone with Islam Makhachev's head kick. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a no-brainer. This was the most high-stakes fight of the month by far, and it was arguably the most impressive KO. Look, you could say Bobby Green's was a bit cleaner because it was one and done, or maybe Michel Pereira's because it was like 1 minute and 6 seconds, but ultimately, with a combination of stakes, with a combination of the actual finish itself, and just what was the coolest to watch, obviously I wanted Volkanovski to win, so I was devastated at the result. But if you're looking at it in an unbiased perspective, then you kind of got to give this one the respect of the KO of the month. So that's that one done. You guys let me know if you agree or not. But we move on to the submission of the month. So normally I do 5 nominations for each of the categories, but as I said before, there were only 4 fights in October that were wrapped up by submission. So the 4 nominations are the only 4 submissions that took place. So Joe Pyfer's arm triangle against Abdul Razak Al Hassan. We had Darren Elkin's submission over TJ Brown. We had Saeed Nurmagomedov's guillotine over Muin Gafarov. And we had Muhammad Makayev's arm triangle win against Tim Elliott. So 4 pretty impressive submissions. You guys, again, let me know. This one's a bit more debatable than the KO one, in my opinion. This one I have to kind of think about. But my winner, I've gone with Saeed Nurmagomedov's guillotine choke. It was so impressive, so quick how he wrapped it up, so clean. Just a clean submission in just a minute as well. Really impressive stuff from Saeed Nurmagomedov. Like, Gafarov came in, overthrew, and then he just punished him immediately, wrapped up that neck. And there was no coming back from that one. So really impressive stuff from Saeed Nurmagomedov. Joe Pyfer's submission arm triangle was incredibly impressive as well. But you guys let me know who your winner was. So we move on to the performance of the month category. So in this category, it's not so much about the KO or the finish. It's about who looked the most impressive across usually the distance. Look, I can pick people that did score a finish, but typically I go with like the most well-rounded, impressive finish across 15 minutes. So, performance of the month. Here are the nominations. And I tend to not go with ones that won KO, like KO or submission of the month either. I try to mix it up a little bit, you know. Um, so the first nomination is Barboza's comeback performance over Sadiq Yusuf in the main event, obviously, a couple weeks ago. Incredibly impressive. He lost the first round dominantly, which is going to cost him a little bit. It wasn't the most impressive performance the whole time, but he came back and he did incredibly well. The next one is Martinez's schooling and destruction of Adrian Yanez's legs. Absolutely cooked him and finished him quickly. The next one is Shara Magomedov's debut. It was a pretty solid performance, you know. Well done on the early prelims of UFC 294. Another nomination is Khamzat Chimaev's first round against Kamaru Usman. I've kind of had to limit this. Look, this month really didn't do me kindly when trying to find nominations for these categories because there really weren't a lot of amazing performances. If you want to just say Makhachev, then you can, but I already went with that for KO of the month. So Khamzat's first round, I've had to resort to singling out rounds as well, not even entire performances. And then the next one is Drew Dober's performance against Ricky Glenn. So, those are the nominations. I probably missed a couple that were better than that, honestly. But let me know what your pick is for the best performance of the month. Ultimately, I've been debating between Martinez and Barboza. They were both on the same card. But I've got to go with Barboza, you know. That's going to be my pick. Because as an all-round performance... and in terms of flawless, who took the least damage, it's got to be Martinez, of course. And he just cooked the legs of Yanez. But I just love Barboza's comeback. If this was a comeback of the category, like comeback of the year category, Barboza's right up there, honestly, because not a lot of people can get 10-8'd in the first round and then come back to win it four rounds to one decision. He won every round after this, so incredibly impressive for Edson Barboza. Martinez's performance was incredible as well, but just leg kicks, I don't know, just not going to score as highly for me. But Barboza just basically changed up his whole plan and just readjusted on the fly, and looked really good in the second, third, fourth, and fifth round. So let me know who you guys are going to pick for that one. But we're going to move on to the moment of the month. So for this category, I'm kind of looking at what was like the most impactful, the most noteworthy, the most like storyline worthy kind of thing that everyone kind of went away from the card or from that fight going like, wow, that's just something we're talking about. Like, so there's the moment of the month. So Islam Makhachev shuts out any doubt. So it's, again, not talking about the actual performance itself, but like the moment that came after it, and the talking point. So the talking point of Islam Makhachev, of course, like everyone was saying he almost lost to Volk the first time, short notice, all of that big storyline comes in and just smokes him. Incredibly impressive performance and big moment to talk about. Khamzat Chimaev's post-fight interview / the Kamaru Usman fight as a whole. A very emotional post-fight interview from Khamzat Chimaev. We obviously know what's going on in Israel and Palestine right now. Not something I'm going to talk about on an MMA YouTube channel, of course, but Khamzat Chimaev had some words to say about it. They were very emotional, they were very touching, they were uniting, and it was a really heartfelt speech that he gave. The next one is Barboza mounts the comeback. So coming off that performance of the month category, it's a similar sort of thing. Like, you go, he just got 10-8'd and then he somehow found a way to just win the next 4 rounds. Incredibly impressive performance and a big moment as well for the 37-year-old veteran. The next nomination is Bobby Green doing it for the vets. Obviously, Grant Dawson came into that fight, massive favourite. It was kind of like a setup. They seemed like they were trying to just give him a name, build his resume a little bit. And the Bobby Green just came in there and put a shut to all of that with a right jab in inside 35 seconds. He got it done, and now he's fighting Dan Hooker in a main event. So how the tables can turn. He had a no contest against Jared Gordon. He had a somewhat impressive performance against an old Tony Ferguson. Then he just KO'd Grant Dawson, and now he's going to main event against another legend in Dan Hooker. So great year so far it's been for Bobby Green. And the final nomination is I'm in the Desert. It's Johnny Walker against Uncle Ivan, that whole debacle and that whole referee stupidity that took place. So, obviously, we know what happened. Johnny Walker, the sequence of events, he got hit with a body shot. He faked getting hurt by the body shot. Then he jumped up for a flying knee, but then missed it. Uncle Ive takes him down. Johnny Walker's working his way back up, and then boom, he just gets kneed in the face illegally. And then, despite looking like he wants to continue, the referee, the doctor, calls it off. And apparently, we learn afterwards that Johnny Walker was asked where he was, and he said, "I'm in the desert." And knowing Johnny Walker, he was probably just joking around. But out of all of those, I've got to go the moment of the month. I'm going to go with Islam Makhachev. I think it is the most impactful moment. It's the most storyline-worthy thing. Obviously, with Barboza and Bobby Green, like, their apex fight nights, there's just not the same amount of discourse going around afterwards talking about what's just happened. So, gotta go with Islam Makhachev's KO and his shutout of the doubt against Alexander Volkanovski. And also, another sort of honourable mention there is Volkanovski's post-fight interview and the kind of the revealance, like he's just letting us all know that he is going through some stuff. That was a really emotional thing that made us all kind of just think and go, yeah, this guy's not just an absolute Terminator that just fights and that's it. Like, he's got mental problems like people do, and he goes through stuff. So, emotional from Volkanovski, but impressive performance and big moment as in the main event of that card. The next one category, the fight of the month. So, again, normally I try and come up with 5 or even 3 fight of the month things, because normally the UFC gives out a fight of the night bonus every time, but they only gave out 1 fight of the night bonus in the month of October. So no fight won a fight of the night bonus for Dawson vs Green card, and then there was no fight of the night for UFC 294. So the only nomination, and therefore the winner, is Sadiq Yusuff vs Edson Barboza. Look, I could probably come to you with some decent scraps, like Shara vs Silva was a solid fight. Like, there were some decent ones. But, you know, I've just got to go with Barboza vs Yusuff. It was a barn burner, one of the better fights of the year. After that 10-8 round for Barboza to come back, you know, the wheel kick as well dropped him bad. Super impressive performance and a really crazy fight that we enjoyed watching as well. So, let me know if there was any other fights that you guys enjoyed. But I think regardless of even that, that's one of the better fights of the year. So, clearly going to win the fight of the month category. But we now move to the final category, and it's the event of the month. So, obviously, three events took place in the month of October. We had UFC Fight Night Dawson vs Green. Had 4 finishes. The highlights: Bobby Green's KO, Joe Pyfer's submission, Dober's KO, and then Nate Maness got a TKO. There were a few other decent moments on there, but those were the main highlights. The next one, Sadiq Yusuff vs Edson Barboza card in the Apex. Another 4 finishes: Martinez's TKO, Michelle Pereira's KO, Darren Elkins sub, Terrence McKinney KO. Also, like, Simon vs Rodriguez was a great fight too. Like, there were some solid scraps on there. And then obviously UFC 294, 5 finishes: Islam Makhachev's KO, Ikram's TKO, Said Nurmagomedov's submission, Makayev's submission, and then Mike Breeden's comeback KO. So those are the events of the month. So you guys let me know what your favourite event of the month is. And although it wasn't even a very good event, I'm going to have to go with UFC 294 to win the event of the month category. Just because realistically, if you're an Apex Fight Night is never going to win event of the month. Even if it was better on paper and the fights were better than like a pay-per-view, the pay-per-view is always going to kind of get the buzz. Like, it's going to get the push. But even if you didn't like UFC 294, it was still better than these 2 random Apex cards that were had pretty lackluster main events in terms of on paper. Like, obviously they delivered the main events, but we had a number 10 versus unranked fighter, and then we had number 12 versus number 14 or something like that. So we just couldn't be hyped for it. But ladies and gentlemen, those are all the categories. So running through it once more time. My KO of the month was Islam Makhachev's KO. My submission of the month was Said Nurmagomedov's guillotine. The moment of the month, Islam Makhachev silencing the doubters. The fight of the month was Barboza against Sadiq Yusuff, and that was also the performance of the month. And then the event of the month was UFC 294. That's the video, guys. Let me know what you thought of the picks. You give me yours in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one, which will be the Almeida versus Lewis predictions. Peace out.